Boo. I ain't made a video in months. Yeah, in about a month. Have I? Always picking stuff up and messing around with it when I make videos, aren't I? Like nervous tension or something. Let's talk about Brexit. I even like calling it Brexit. It started with the Grexit thing, didn't it? When Greek were going to leave and they wouldn't let them leave, did they? Little bastards. Made him have another vote and then put in a bank manager as their prime minister. And got away with it. And actually got away with doing that. Oh my god. And people forgetting that they don't have to stand for that. Stood for it, didn't they? You don't have to stand for that kind of bullshit, you know? Just pick up a spade and hit them with it. They soon back down then because they're all a bunch of cowards. I'm not advocating violence, I'm just saying, like, you know. when you push people too far, then the people doing the pushing are not usually very good at doing any fighting. people getting pushed get really good at fighting because they're doing all the work. Right, anyway, Brexit. So where are we up to? Looks like we're going for a no-deal Brexit. Oh my god, some people panicking, they want another vote. Still going on about having another vote, and they're calling it a people's vote now, which all sounds very noble. But what it is still a second vote because you didn't like the result. If it went the other way, I wouldn't be calling for a people's vote. If it was like 60% Remain, I wouldn't be saying a word about it. We would have already forgotten about the European Union thing altogether. Most ignoble people on the Democratic side, the Dems, because the Remainers in this country are the equivalent of the Dems in America. And what they are is they're social media savvy and those kind of people who actually believe that all that media stuff really matters. And they really believe in it, and it's all fake. There's a fake story, fake narrative, fake everything, fake facts, fake opinions, fake smiles, fake settings, fake effects, digital effects to make it all look exciting. Fake. I absolutely love watching Donald Trump's rallies at the moment. They're my favourite things to watch. About the only thing I do watch now. Although I did watch a load of TV last night just to catch up on the real world, in the real fake world. But Donald Trump's there with all the news media in front of him. He's like, and look at them, the fake news. And everyone goes, boo. What a legend. So anyway, it looks like we're going to have a no-deal Brexit, doesn't it? It looks like we're going to have a no-deal Brexit. We should have had a no-deal Brexit from the start. Why were we negotiating with these people? So we've got a country with citizens. Bear with me for 1 second. Right, back again. Sorry, I'm just cooking some rice and the kettle had boiled, and I'd started making this video before putting it on the pan thing. And I've done that, haven't I? Proper northerner me, ain't it? So anyway, yeah. So why were we negotiating? The European Union isn't a country; it's a bloody idea. The United Kingdom is a nation consisting of England, Wales, Northern Ireland and Scotland, which are all countries, and those countries have citizens, which are people, and those citizens pay taxes, and those taxes pay for infrastructure and for the well-being and good of all. The European Union is just an idea. It's an idea. Now, some things I've been discussing lately with my mates are the freedom of movement thing. And I've said this before, but no one watches my videos, and no one really, I'm kind of nice when I come to talking to people who are on the opposite side of me on this. I don't like to sort of like upset them too much, but the freedom of movement, we had freedom of movement before the EU gave us freedom of movement. They're saying they're giving us something that we already had. There's never been a time in history apart from like really bad war times, where an English person's not be able to go and move to France. There's always been a pathway. Or a French person come to move to this country. There's always been a pathway. Or a French person move into Denmark. There's always been a way to do that. Always, and there always will be a way. At the end of the day, if you start a business and you become successful and you're worth a lot of money, you can go anywhere in the world. And that's the same for anyone. That's the same for someone in a really poor country. Make enough money, you can go anywhere. America will have anyone as long as they've got a decent amount of money in the bank and they've got a good reputation and they share the same values as them. So Donald Trump like cracking down on the immigration laws, the ridiculous freedom of movement immigration laws, which don't work, don't make any sense, and cause loads of crime. And there's similar uproar there in America as to the Remainers who desperately want freedom of movement here. And now we've got them moaning about like having to have border checks at the border. If me having to wait 20 minutes on the odd occasion I might go to France on a holiday or something, 20 minutes to have my passport checked and everything, it means that illegal immigrants can't come into the country and can't go into their country. So that's a price worth paying, isn't it? Bloody millennials don't know they're born, do they? I want to just be able to go there whenever I want. Okay, alright. Well, you know, the only reason we've got ships and cars and a country infrastructure and a working sewer system is because of hard-working, tax-paying people who have made it happen and paid for it. The reason we've got ferries that go from England to France is because hard-working people work on the ferries and make that all possible. Which I've made a bit of a leap there, I won't bother explaining it, but you know what I'm saying, bloody millennials. But anyway, yeah, so it's looking more and more likely like it's going to be a no-deal Brexit. Now, I'm really happy about this, but I just wish we didn't spend the last two years arguing about whether we should have a no-deal Brexit. We never, ever should have entered into negotiations with them in this regard. We should have left the European Union by a parliamentary act or a motion of parliament, whatever it's called. And we should have immediately left after triggering Article 50. We should not have given them their grace period. It's their grace period. We don't need that grace period. Right now we could be trading with all international worldly nations, couldn't we? And making a prosperous go of it. But instead we're still arguing about the EU, so we don't hurt people's feelings, people who believe in the EU. But I've made many videos about this and deleted them. There's still nobody who's been able to even enter into a discussion regarding this sort of logical conclusions that I've drawn. A great many other people have drawn, although I think I put it a little bit more eloquently than some, at least. But what it basically comes down to is why do we have a European Union? Why do we need one? Why would we want one? And then there's some throwaway answers that I get back when I suggest such a question. Once we sort of tidy those up, then we come back to the same question again: why do we want a European Union, and how does it benefit? How does it benefit you? How does it benefit me? How does it benefit old lady lives down the road? How does it benefit nice couple over there who live a few houses? How does it benefit us? Because we've given away a load of our freedom to have it. So what do we get back for it? I think freedom is something I'm never prepared to give away for any price, even if it's all the wealth in the world, all the tea in China. I still wouldn't give away any amount of my freedom. And despite having a European Union for most of my life, I don't acknowledge that authority. I never have, and I never will. I don't even acknowledge the authority of businesses. Even if I have to work for a business, I still don't acknowledge the authority, and it gets me in all kinds of trouble, and I don't have to change jobs a lot. But I wouldn't have it any other way. But yeah, so no deal Brexit is looking like a good possibility, a good strong possibility, and I'm exceedingly happy about it. they sort of get on with it a bit sooner, and the European Union representatives are starting to look a little bit concerned about it all, and our politicians are looking sort of happier than ever because, like I was just saying earlier in this video, the United Kingdom is a nation made up of countries with tax-paying citizens and customs and laws and buildings and houses and infrastructure and working sewer systems and forests and trees and reservoirs and lakes and canals and history and culture and so on. I could go on. The United Kingdom has been around for a long time, and even before there was a United Kingdom, even when you go back as far as like Mercia and all those sorts of the old ways the country was divided up, but even before the Roman invasion, when it was Celts in the north and was it Saxons in the south, we have a very rich cultural history and heritage. The EU is just an idea that some people had to steal some power from the power that existed in the nation of the United Kingdom and the nation of France and the nation of Germany. A group of people thought of an idea to have some of that power, to take it from those nations, and they certainly won't give it back willingly. So I say it's completely unnecessary to have a European Union, and more so now we have technology, because I think you can pay stuff on our phones and that, but not just that, passports are digital now, so to check out the authenticity of a passport takes a scan going through a border port. We didn't have that 20-30 years ago, but now we do, and we can have more things like that too. So we can revert back to the natural freedom of movement that we always had before the EU started saying that it was giving us freedom of movement, when it's not really. We've always had freedom of movement. They just call what they have freedom of movement, and it sounds great for us because we think we're getting something, but we already had that thing. We've always been able to move around freely in Europe, always. Yeah. The best way to ensure continued freedom of movement is good trading relations with other nations, because it'd be difficult to freely move around North Korea because we don't currently have any good trading relations with them, but say we did in the future, then we'd have freedom of movement with North Korea, and people, young millennials, would be able to go backpacking in North Korea, wouldn't they? Like that's the only thing that bloody well matters. Now, I'm looking forward to sorting out some problems back at home once we're out of the EU, because this conversation has been going on incessantly for such a long time. I'm glad to see it moving on. I'd like to see cannabis legalised in the UK. I think it's ridiculous having it illegal, and I'd like to see some drugs be treated a lot more seriously, like particularly cocaine. So I'm not sort of a liberal hippie, hey, drugs should be free, man. I think cannabis, it's a waste of time making it illegal, because I see with my own eyes that it makes no difference to the cannabis users' attitude, whether it's legal or not legal. It's just whether they can get hold of some or not. And no one that does any harm smoking cannabis or eating cannabis or whatever. And I don't think they ever will do any harm. It's not that kind of drug. And it's probably more like coffee or something, but like the opposite of coffee, because it's just a herb really, isn't it? And even herbs, just regular herbs like oregano, have sort of a subtle effect on one's physiology and one's psyche. Cannabis obviously has a more pronounced effect, but for the most part it just relaxes people. There's not really something worth having, worth making illegal, and worth spending any time trying to enforce the illegality of it. And there's a tremendous capitalism in the legalisation of it. So I'd like to see that sort of discussed in a bit more detail. I'm not saying we should definitely legalise it or not, but at least have a conversation about it and have a public dialogue about it and make some progress on it and achieve more rational policies. And with cocaine, I'd like to see it completely eradicated from this country. No, not possible to get it over the borders at all, because you can't grow it here. You can grow it artificially, but not on a scale that would produce any profitable, significant quantities. So no need to have cocaine in this country. It's a really bad drug. It's one of the worst, and it's one of the most prevalent right now today. Heroin, obviously, same thing for the same reason. So I'd like to get on to that. And then there's sort of technological innovation as well. It's something our great nation is known for, the United Kingdom. We are very always sort of led the way for the most part. Obviously competing with the likes of America and China and that, but generally been one of the front runners in technological innovation, implementing technologies on a large scale, and obviously we're moving towards an electric car world, which is definitely the way forward, and eventually perhaps even driverless electric cars. Again, open to debate on whether that's the right way to go, but we need to get this European Union thing sorted out so we can start talking about those kinds of things. So they've been talking on the European Union about extending their negotiation period till 2021 or something. That's a bad idea, because all that time is going to be wasted discussing nonsense with the European Union, which never really had any jurisdiction in the first place beyond what we'd voluntarily given it, and we never got given a vote on how much sort of power and control they would have and how much say they would have in our lives. And they ended up taking more and more and more of it, and now we want it all back, and we shouldn't compromise on that, because it was our power in the first place. They don't actually have any power themselves. They're not a country, they're not a nation, they're just an idea. They're just an idea, and it's not worked. It's not worked for Greece, it's not worked for Italy, it's not worked for France, it's not worked for the United Kingdom, it's not even working for Germany, who were initially the best, who benefited the most from the EU, certainly economically. But now they've got a tremendous amount of crime from all the immigrants that come in for this, what is it? I suppose a noble aim of having freedom of movement, but it simply doesn't work in a world with so much economic disparity. We need to address economic disparity before we can really implement those noble aims of having a freedom of movement planet and a borderless world. That may be possible, but not when some people are starving to death in a desert and some people are living in penthouse apartments with enough money to last 1,000 lifetimes. So, yeah. And I need to bring those disparities together, and best way to do that is through trading relations and helping build up other countries by trading with them and by buying their stuff and making stuff for them to buy, so we can handshake business deals, get to know each other culturally, and learn about each other through our experiences together. That's the way to go. So I'll finish up with that. I just sort of rambled. My summary is no deal. Let's go for no deal. I really want to go for a no deal Brexit. That's what I'd like to see happen. That's what I would have liked to see happen from the start. I can sense from the way they're talking now that the people involved in all this, that's looking like it's becoming more likely a possibility all the time, and that's a good thing. 17 minutes. And the EU is just an idea. It's not a country. United Kingdom's a country. So who we're negotiating with? We're negotiating with an idea that we don't want anymore. So, and the people who are adamant Remainers who want a people's vote, it's just not how it works. That's not how it works. You campaigned really hard. You had the TV, the mainstream media, all the TV channels on your side, on the side of Remain. Very little airtime given to Leave. Very little support given to Leave beyond the people who were adamant to leave, and yet we still voted to leave. If the TV and the mainstream media was neutral, we would have seen a 70-80% vote towards leave. No one cares about the European Union flag. They never did. They never did while it was around. If you were that bothered about it, should have been championing it in the first place. I've all my life and always will champion the United Kingdom and our parliamentary democracy and our customs and our traditions and our ways, because I believe in them. I believe in them, and I am of them. I'm not part of the European Union. I never signed up to it. I was never given a choice when I was younger, and now I've been given a choice. I'm glad enough people decided with me to leave, something I never wanted to be in the first place. Right, call it a day. Brexit update.